What's up guys, this is FK8 Nick. We're recording a video about my 2019 Civic Type R. I'm actually about to reach 2 years of ownership with this car. So this video will have common problems throughout this entire 10th generation FK8 Civic Type R. Just a quick disclaimer, I love this car. I'm not making this video just to bash on it. Advise people if they're looking into this car, or if some people already own this car and never knew these problems existed, it's something they can look out for. So let's begin with the grille sag. So here on these Civic Type Rs, the grille will start to sag off of the actual bumper piece. It is supposed to clip in, but you can try pushing them back in all you want and it'll just sag and it won't come back. I've seen people put like zip ties in the back of it, taking off the bumper and trying to tighten it together, and that usually fixes it, but there's still a gap. For the most part, that is a common problem that you see with these cars. So it looks like it's probably been in some sort of accident, but it's just a common issue with these. So if you look at the grille, it kind of just sags off. So this side's a little bit better than this side. The next issue I had with this, it's good to know that the paint quality isn't the greatest. We're in the shade right now, but I've dated this car. It has about 67,000 miles and it just accumulates a lot of rock chips, and the paint is very, very thin if you compare it to other cars. And it just depends, like if you're paying a certain amount of money for this car, you should kind of have some expectations that at the end of the day it's still a Honda, and most of the money is definitely going into the motor and how the car feels, like transmission, chassis. So you're not really getting that quality paint for the price that you're paying for this car. I know the prices have been dropping on these, so it's actually a good buy if you really want one. But yeah, I would just be wary that rock chips are inevitable. I'd probably get this car PPF, ceramic coated, some sort of protection on it ASAP if you're buying this brand new. And also, I've seen issues on here where the caps are starting to crack. A lot of swirl marks and stuff just anywhere on the car. I have a lot of swirl marks on the hood, and I'm not proud of that, but I do need to get this car paint corrected. I already replaced these slotted rotors by EBC. Drilled rotors on the 17 and 19 FK8s were not good, and what came from the factory is also a Brembo OEM pad. It generated so much brake dust. When I had the OEM black wheel, it would just, wheel turning black, it would actually be brown because of all the brake dust. For a daily driver car, it's kind of annoying to constantly wash your wheels. I understand that most people are going to say buy a different car, or you shouldn't be looking into this type of car if you're worried about brake dust. Most people who buy Type Rs that I've met here in this area, most of them daily it, so it's probably a good idea to look into replacing the drilled rotors on here. And what happens is all that brake dust that accumulates on that drilled rotor will actually go into the holes of the rotor and basically creates an uneven wear surface for the brake pad. So when you're braking at times, it'll generate a pulsing sensation from the brake pedal. That's why you see a lot of drilled rotors on our cars on the 17 and 19s look really warped because of all the grooves in the pad wearing pretty unevenly. I'd probably recommend, if you're looking into getting one of these cars, if you can't get 2020 to 2021, those come with a 2-piece blank rotor, which is a lot better, but it's more pricey if you were already owning a previous year 19 or 17 Type R. Another issue with these Brembos is actually the clear coat failure. So that is actually the clear coat peeling off of the Brembo, and that is a very common issue with these Type Rs, or a couple of friends who had Evo 10s that had this issue. I'm not really sure about any other cars that had Brembos and had these clear coat peeling issues, but most people had this issue on Type Rs, and what they would usually do is they would take it to the dealer. They were under 36,000 miles and get a warranty replacement. Some would get it, some wouldn't. It was unfortunately out of warranty range when that happened to me. It was actually a lot worse than the seat. I cleared it at one point, but I guess I didn't do a good job on this rotor. When I first owned the car for maybe 2-3 months, never noticed it. It was until like 6 months of me owning it, and it just got worse ever since. I mean, I daily the car, so there's not much I can do. A common issue with these cars is also the AC basically not working. One cool thing about this car is it hasn't happened to this car, but the AC tends to go out, and Honda had an extended warranty on the AC. I'm not sure what parts it was exactly. I'm pretty sure it was like the condenser or something, and it would just basically leak. And it was across all the 10th gen Civics and obviously the Type R. And it got so bad to the point where I think as of last year, Honda extended that warranty again. So for the next 10 years, since a year's passed, probably 9 years for me. But yeah, so AC tends to go out in these cars. It's a very common issue. So I would definitely take a look at if it's had a AC recall done. One thing to know with this car is that it has bucket style seats, that these are seat covers. So I still have the OEM red seats. It's just covered on by a seat cover. These from a guy on Instagram, him in the description. Comfortable seats that I've sat in ever. If you're looking into getting a Type R, I don't mean it in any sort of like offensive way. Like, go see one in person, see if you can, you know, have a good connection, like just by sitting in the car. Just like, I have a couple friends that, you know, I wanted them to buy Type Rs, and the moment they got in the seat, it was just like already right away, like it just wasn't gonna work. So these seats are kind of hard to get in and out of because of this bolster, because of how high it sits up. To use my arm to get out. So especially if you're not used to this car. My girlfriend gets in this car, and for the most part she has a tough time getting in and out of the seats, and she's a lot smaller than I am, so these seats fit her very well, but it's just hard to get in and out of. It's just the way, you know, bucket seats are. Another thing to know about this car is the sound system isn't very good, and depending on how much you pay for the car and your expectations of it, the sound system, you still have to realize at the end of the day, it's a Civic. So I'm envious of, for the FL5 Type R, they have a Bose sound system, which way better than this car. This is just Honda's simple Civic speaker system. And an issue with the sound system being bad is there's lots and lots of rattles. So it mostly comes from these tweeter speakers on the doors from the fronts, and it also happens to be in the rear as well. So there are times when you're driving and these things will rattle non-stop. So guides on how to fix this, and you know, they actually have helped me, so I don't really experience those rattles anymore, but it's something that happens with these cars. One other thing is, since I have a 19, it comes with a volume knob. If you get a 17 or 18, it comes with no volume knob, and all these buttons are capacitive, or they're touch style. And a lot of people complained about how the volume, basically a no volume knob, it's kind of irritating to touch, and people complain about that. And then they added a volume knob in 2019 and up. So if you're looking for one, I would probably say try to find a 2019 at the very least. 2020 and 21s have more tech in the car in terms of safety features. So in terms of the 17s, 18s, and 19s, they don't have the safety features such as like the adaptive cruise control or the lane keep assist. So that's another thing to look out for if you're looking for all those features.